morning sun where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Now everybody, let's say hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you, just for you. In the morning sun where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you.
Alright, hey guys, welcome to our live Q&A with Chris here. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, and what's interesting is that it's hot, and hot means high evaporation, means the need for water in your pots and garden beds is higher than ever. And what I've done this last week is, I've had a few people with plants shriveling up and dying, and I've tried to deal with some of those issues in a series of videos that I've put online about watering. And what's interesting, most people think that watering is just pointing a hose at the plants and that's it. But watering is a little bit of an art. It requires a little bit of skill, a little bit of knowledge. And I've endeavored to impart that in a series of little videos, which you can get online. And so stay on top of your, if a plant dries up in the heat, and dies and it's dying or it's getting damaged, but if plants are properly watered in the heat, they flourish. Like we've got a production nursery in Shepparton, and we're watering like crazy in the heat, and the plants are just flourishing. So plants can really flourish if you water them in the heat, and water them properly. So check out my videos. Check out my videos on watering and get your plants to flourish instead of struggle in the heat.
Beautiful. So we do these lives every Monday at 12 p.m. and it's an opportunity for you to ask Chris any gardening questions that you might have. So we're just sort of welcoming people in at the moment across several platforms. Do you want to just go over maybe what we have on at the moment, any exciting specials or deals?
Right,
that we're
okay.
working on?
So one of the things that we've put together a range of trees, trees that are sort of 1.5 to 2.5 meters tall, and where most nurseries are selling that size plant in a 16-inch pot, and it's retailing sort of 180 to 300 and something dollars, and putting an advanced tree out of most people's reach. We've got a couple of growers, and they're growing them in 13-inch pots, which aren't that much smaller than a 16-inch pot, but because of the soil savings, the savings in plastic, the savings in space, the savings in freight, we're able to offer lots and lots of semi-advanced trees, 1.5 to 3 meters tall, for around the $100 mark. And if you go to our website, and what's it under on the website? Is it Big Trees Cheap?
Cut Price Advanced Trees Sale is the name.
Yeah, cut price advanced tree sale. So if you can, so if you're doing a garden, setting up a farm, a factory, a shop, whatever, you can treat yourself to a couple of big trees, because really, we've got these semi-advanced ones for half to a third of the price of what you'd normally pay for a semi-advanced tree, and there's quite a range of them. I think there's 30 or 40 different trees you could choose from. Deciduous, evergreen, blossoms, autumn colors, shade, avenues, all different trees, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people to get an advanced tree into their garden.
Beautiful. All right. Well, as the questions slowly begin to roll in, we'll just start answering them as they trickle in. But yeah, don't be shy. Feel free to ask away. This is live. This is your opportunity now to get any questions you might have about your gardening, or any plants or trees, or even issues you might be having. And even if you can stump Chris, that's one of our challenges. He's pretty hard to stump though. He's got 60 years of horticulture knowledge under his belt. So anyway, we'll get stuck into the first question here from Instagram. Comes from S. Nestler asking, is there an Aussie native equivalent to Mondo grass?
Let me think about that. Close. In fact, the main difference between this and Mondo grass is it's better than Mondo grass. Mondo grass seems to be a harbour for weeds, and often people pull out their Mondo grass after a couple of years because they lose control with the weeds in amongst it. So Mondo grass is a low-growing evergreen plant that likes to be in the shade, and what an Australian native is your Dichondra repens, and you might even grab me a Dichondra repen so I could show people. There's some beautiful ones just out there on the pallet out there on special at the moment. Right. So Dichondra repens, and Dichondra repens spreads like crazy. It's a Mondo grass is any good in the sun, and you want an Australian native that was a flat sort of ground cover. But here's your Dichondra repens, wonderful Australian native, used all over the world as a lawn. So it could do the job on a small or a big pot, big area, small or big area. That's it. They're lovely texture to it, lovely low growing, and it's an Australian native, and it's really, really good. And the other ones that you might consider, native violet, very good in the shade, and it looks the same as a Dichondra, but it's got little tiny purple flowers all year round. And then say you had a hot sunny spot and you wanted a flat green ground cover, I would look at a Eurena myoporum. So Eurena myoporum, little white flowers, beautiful flat green ground cover, and hardy, grows in the shade but thrives in hot sun. And terrible soil, and withstands drought, frost, withstands everything.
Perfect. All right, so there you go. Nestler, hopefully that answers your question there on an Australian native Black Mondo equivalent. Next question here. Actually, one of our social platforms just froze. So if we miss your question, feel free to ask it again as we just reloaded the comments feed here. But I got a question here from Han Pato on Instagram asking medium height hedging plant that can tolerate clay soils.
Medium
height hedging plants.
Okay, I reckon the best one that we've got for clay soil will be boxleaf privet. Thrives in clay soil. You know, you need to break it up and mix a bit of good soil in when you plant. Plenty of water, plenty of fertilizer. You can happily keep your boxleaf privet hedge somewhere between, say, 80 centimetres tall and 2.5 metres tall. Anywhere in that sort of mid-size range. Fabulous hedge, green and lush. Looks to everybody like an English box, but much, much tougher, much more versatile. Takes the frost, takes the heat, takes wet feet, takes clay soils, takes everything like that better than English box. Grows more than a metre a year. You plant 4 of them to the metre, or 3 at a minimum. So you plant a few and get a nice dense hedge, and it gives you that beautiful English box look, that lush classic look, but really, really tough. It's a great thing if you've got a farm or a factory or something, and conditions aren't so good. You want to do a big hedge. You don't want a lot of trouble. Boxleaf privet is the answer.
Perfect. And then we've got another heavy clay soil question here from Bridget asking best drought tolerant natives to grow in heavy clay soils.
Okay, so something like the first thing that came to my mind, which is a bit obscure and weird in a way, is that white cedar. White cedar, or Melia azedarac. Now your white cedar, beautiful mauve flowers at Christmas time, lovely green fine foliage, and you see them growing in the middle of nowhere, like in a 1,000-acre plain out in the middle of nowhere in the sort of Victorian or New South Wales outback, heavy clay soils, incredible drought, and there'll be an old stockyard, and there'll be 3 or 4 of those thriving in the most difficult conditions you could ever find, and that came to my mind. And then your Kings Park Special or your Dawson River Weeper, both kind of big bushes or small trees, depending on how you want to look at them, and thrive in heavy clay soils. Absolutely thrive in heavy clay soils. And also your Westringias are great in heavy clay soils. So it's something like a coastal rosemary, lovely sort of medium-sized shrub, great in very heavy soils.
All right, there you go, Bridget. That should answer you there on natives in heavy clay soils. Let's jump over to a couple of questions here on TikTok. We have Twiddledee asking, do you have a pink or purple crepe myrtle that only grows to 2 metres-ish?
We've got, in a more of the purple one, we've got Zuni. And Zuni with a little trim, in fact, some of the best flowers I've seen, what it is with crepe myrtles, the more you trim them, the better they flower. Now,
we got a good video on that, just went out last week actually.
Yeah, with the Zuni. And I think that Zuni is only about 1.8 in that video, isn't it?
Oh no, that one has a big one in it, I think, at the start. Maybe halfway through.
Okay. Yeah, so no, we did one recently where it was beautiful. But basically, your Zuni is probably a 3 metre crepe myrtle, which is a lot smaller than most. Most are 5 or 6. But the beauty with the Zuni is if you prune it, I did a video on one the other day, and it was about 1.8 metres tall, covered in flowers, beautiful tree. And because they were cutting it, it had more flowers.
That one's in another, that's in another crepe myrtle video.
Yeah, beautiful lot of flowers. So Zuni gives you that purple colour, and with a bit of a trim, you can keep it around the 2 metre mark, no worries, and have extra flowers because you prune it.
All right, there you go, Twiddledee.
Yeah, so Google Zuni, even have a look at our socials on Zuni, Zuni crepe myrtle, and you'll see beautiful purpley mauve flowers and lots of them.
All right, fantastic. All right, so next is Luke Morn asking, hello, what's a wind salt tolerant tree, please?
A wind
and salt. So
wind
it must be coastal.
Okay.
Coastal tree.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple. The first is there's a Myoporum. There's a Myoporum, and I can't think of the name right offhand, but there's a Myoporum that grows about 2.5, 3 metres tall, and it will grow right on the ocean, sort of just back of the sand dunes. So, but there's a Myoporum, but But that would be one of the best. Now the other one that I've done incredibly well with is you'll notice like there's famous photos of your Macrocarpa cypress, and there's famous photos. It grows along the western seaboard, the western seaboard of California near San Francisco.
Okay.
And Monterey cypress they call it, because it grows in Monterey all along the sea.
We did a really good video on that as well.
At any rate, they will grow right up to the sea. There used to be a beautiful planting of them just on top of the cliff at Point Leo, where you had lots of sea air and that coming in.
Yeah.
And then Castuellan Gold is another cypress that does so. Your Macrocarpa cypress, your Castuellan Gold, great for blocking the wind, and I've seen them sort of pretty much. And then there's your Myoporum. I can't think of the second name.
Do you want me to look it up now and just see if we can find anything?
But they would be your most salt tolerant trees, and then sort of coming back a little bit less salt tolerant. Your olive trees are pretty good.
Can you see those at all, Chris? Any of those? I know they're not on our screen here live, but just showing Chris some Myoporum options here.
No, none of those. Myoporum.
Hang on, I'll go to pics.
Is that Myoporum? There's a bush down there. What's that one called? Down there, Myoporum.
This one?
That one.
That one?
Yeah,
that's Myoporum floribundum.
No, that's not it.
Anyway, maybe we'll come back to it and keep rolling along. But there is a type of Myoporum that works in.
Yeah, there's a Myoporum that is almost absolute beachfront bush. Only probably 2.5. When it's right on, the sea, it only grows about 1 metre and a bit. But bring it back 10 or 20 metres from the beach, it'll become a 2.5 metre tree, and probably one of the most drought hardy and hardy sort of coastal plants that you'll get hold of.
All right, perfect. All right, now just circling back to Tweedledee here with the second question. What is your favourite native plant and why?
Okay, my favourite native plant, actually, in a way, it would have to be Cousin-It. Now, Cousin-It, beautiful dark green ground cover or cascading plant, and it's a beautiful sort of olivey dark green. And the reason why I say it's one of my favourites is I probably use that more often in my garden designs than any other native plant, because it's so versatile. But to look at, my actual favourite is the honeypot banksia, and I love the honeypot banksia because it makes a lot of gardens that you design don't have room for a big tree, and a lot of little bushes and that just don't make it as a standout feature. And what I love about the honeypot banksia, it has beautiful big banksia flowers, it has masses of them, it has lovely foliage, it's a beautiful sort of domey, kind of a natural domey shape with these beautiful banksia flowers poking up on it. And what it does, without putting a tree there, it's a beautiful low feature that gives beautiful colour for a lot of the year. And
the birds love it too.
Yeah, and then when I've been videoing it, they're often full of parrots or full of beautiful birds. So real bird attracting. Lovely low dome, and it fulfills that statement of making a real feature without being big.
Yeah, cool. Do they grow throughout most of Australia, those, do you reckon, the honeypots?
Southeastern Australia, you grow them pretty much anywhere in southeastern Australia.
All right, there you go, Tweedledee. And sorry, we're just in the middle of the live. Yeah. All right, so our next question here comes to us from Sam, asking, how do I get my Venus flytrap to grow bigger?
It hasn't got a price on it?
Just
oh, right, okay.
Give us one moment, guys.
I think $39.99.
Helping out a customer here live on the show.
Yeah.
All right, so did you hear the question?
Yeah, no.
Okay. How do I get my Venus flytrap to grow bigger, from Sam on Instagram?
Okay, what you've got to do is you've got to go down to Bunnings and get yourself some New Zealand peat. So they grow in pure New Zealand peat.
I've never seen them big though. Like they're always kind of small.
Actually, I'll get a big one now.
Chris is going to get us one now, so we can have a look at that. I guess while we're waiting, just a reminder that we do these lives every Monday at 12 p.m. And as they are live, of course, a lot of random action can happen. We are in the store, so guess it makes things exciting. Oh, that one looks pretty tall. All right, Chris
Yeah,
is
we've
back.
been getting pretty big ones from our supplier. So the quickest way to get a big one is pop
That
down
is
to
big.
Hello.
Wow. What did they put in that one? That's crazy.
Yeah. So what it is, it's a matter of having the right conditions. I think you might remember growing these when you were a kid. We used to have them in sources of water on an east-facing window, and but the trick is if you put them in normal potting mix, they'll be dead in a few days. What it is you've got to use pure New Zealand peat.
Okay.
And your New Zealand peat has got the right pH level, so you grow it in pure New Zealand peat, and then they like lots of insects. So you feed them insects to, and that's how they get their nutrients.
Yeah.
So you don't put big lots of fertilizer. And then we used to grow them when the kids were little. We'd have them in a saucer of water so that they could soak up all the water they need, and we used to feed them insects and grow them in peat. Pure New Zealand peat. You've got to be very careful. And so the people who
so you could pot them up.
You could go to a bigger pot.
Yeah.
Feed them plenty of insects and grow them in New Zealand peat. And they want a nice, bright, not a hot westerly facing window, but an east facing window.
Perfect. All right, we're going to have to jump over. Thanks for all these questions. And there you go, Sam. Hopefully that helps you out with growing your Venus flytrap a little bit bigger. We're just going to circle back over to another platform here. Jacqueline Williams asking on Instagram here, do you have any suggestions for a pot plant west facing at the front of the house in Sydney? Managed to kill a tree fern or fern tree and a leucospermum.
Okay, they're both easy plants to kill. If it was, and now I'd imagine because you put a fern tree or a leucospermum in there, I imagine that it's quite a big pot. So quite a big pot. If you pop down, it's a bit expensive just getting 1 or 2 plants up from Melbourne. So pop down to your local nursery and buy yourself a nice little electric pink cordyline and a Tequila Sunrise Coprosma. Now they're really, really, really tough, and they're colourful and beautiful, and they should set any pot a lively colour.
Yeah,
so
especially if you got like a white pot or something. It would look really good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so Tequila Sunrise, Tequila Sunrise Coprosma, and electric flash. Sorry, electric flash is beautiful brown. They're kind of Mexican-y colours. They're kind of browns and golds and oranges and things like that.
All right, there you go, Jacqueline. Hopefully that helps you there with
So electric flash is the cordyline you want.
All right, excellent. All right, let's move along to our next question here coming to us from YouTube. Hi there. How high will the Canna Lily Tropicana Gold grow, and how far apart should they be spread to get a great looking 7-meter long hedge? That's from Angelo's on YouTube.
Okay, I reckon if you planted 5 of them, if you planted 7, you'd get an almost instant fill up. We do have nice big ones in 10-inch pots, so you can plant quite large ones. But if you planted 5, over by next summer, you'd have a fantastic 7-meter display. And they love their water and they love their fertilizer, and now's a great time to plant them. And the gold Tropicana has a beautiful, lush tropical feel to it without being too garish, you know.
Perfect. Do they like lots of water too?
Yeah, lots of water, lots of fertilizer.
All right, there you go, Angelo's. Thanks for the question there on YouTube.
And the great thing about your Tropicanas is if your friends or family admire them, you can, once you've got them established, you can dig them up and split them in the winter and share them with your family and friends.
Oh, that's an awesome little tip there. Split them up, Angelo's. Perfect. All right. Next question comes to us from Tanya on Facebook. What size ceramic pot will I need for a standard rose bush?
I reckon that, you could pop it in and it would go okay for the first year. It's a 30 or 35 centimetre pot. But to go over years and years and years, I reckon you want internal measurement 40 centimetres.
Okay, 40 centimetre pot, Tanya.
And with a 40 centimetre pot, you could do something like plant some nice colour underneath, like some Calabracia or something like that, or some convolvulus that flowers for the same times as your rose. So a complementary convolvulus or Calabracia planted underneath in that 40 centimetre pot would make all of that large pot, working for you.
Look, yeah, so
Yeah.
because it's quite a more bigger sized pot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great. All right, Tanya, there you go. That's some tips there for the standard rose bush. Our next question comes from Sandy on Facebook asking, is a China pink suitable to plant down the side of the house to create some shade? The width of the yard is 2.3 meters. Location is Sunshine Coast. Soil has clay and small rocks, but they can improve it with a soil bed before they plant.
Yeah, it's, they want good soil, so improve the soil, mix it up and mix it up and mix a bit of good soil and stuff in there. And yes, plenty of water, plenty of fertilizers, good soil, and they'll come up quite quickly and give you. It would be a sort of a medium-sized shrub when it grows, so it's not going to be a big tree or anything. But if you wanted something medium-sized to create a bit of shade with some interesting colour in the leaf and some fabulous sort of spidery pink spring flowers, you couldn't go wrong with a China pink loropetalum.
Great, and that'll create a bit of shade too.
Yeah,
will it? Yeah. All right.
It's a spreading kind of a bush.
Perfect. All right. So next comes to us. We'll jump back over to the TikTok platform. And thanks so much for being patient, guys. We are trying to get through every question here, of course. Mr. C asks, hey Chris, why would my fruiting fig tree be defoliating?
My fig tree just defoliated. It's because I had a plumbing problem and I flooded it and killed it with wet feet. So
So you reckon wet feet, or it's a bit hard to tell?
it's either too wet or too dry. Have a dig around it and see whether you're too wet or too dry. And if it's too wet and dropping its leaf, it could be a goner. But if it's too dry, you just need to get in and give it a good deep soak. And that was one of the things I talked about in my my watering videos is, say, a lot of people have got the problem now. In Victoria, we haven't had good rain since sometime late in November or early December. So we're nearly 60 or 70 days without a good rainfall, and a lot of trees have used up their deep down moisture, and you're starting to get leaf colouring, leaf dropping, leaf thinning. Basically, they're stressed and they're in trouble, and if we don't get a good rain in Victoria soon, it could get worse. And you know, traditionally you don't get good rains in Melbourne until sort of end of March or sometimes through April, or could even be mid-May. So we could be looking up to 2.5 months for the next good rain. So a lot of people are going to be faced with trees that are, I know the birch trees in front of my house, I'm giving them deep irrigation, and if I wasn't, they'd be dropping their leaves and stressed. And I mean, if trees do that too many times, they can pass away. So sprinkling soil wetter on the ground, and then a long, slow, or a series of long, slow, deep soaks, get that water in deep and take the stress off your trees. And that could well be what's wrong with that fig. But have a dig and find out. It's either I had a similar effect recently, and it was wet feet, but dryness will have a similar effect.
Okay, Mr. C, I hope you can figure it out and get that fruiting fig back to life. All right, next question comes to us from Dino on TikTok asking, is it okay to use the green plastic ties to attach alcohols to a new tree?
Look, people use wire, they use all sorts of things, and they seem to be able to grow around it, so yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, cool. There you go, Dino. Next is Beadbug on TikTok asking, what type of potting mix do I need for a crepe myrtle they'll be putting in a pot?
I've been testing different potting mixes, and I think Debco, a little bit more expensive than the rest, but I think Debco is probably the best on the market at the moment. And a lot of the potting mixes that are around, there's quality problems, and it's to do with, you know, people competing on price and working to have the cheapest potting mix on the market. And unfortunately, when you make the cheapest potting mix, it's I mean, we were working out just before, my staff were talking about how you can get these really big bags of potting mix down at Bunnings for $9.99. I explained to them that by the time you take Bunnings cut out of it and take the GST off it, and the cost of the plastic bag and the cost of putting that bag into a Bunnings store, filling it up and putting it into a Bunnings store, it only leaves around about 80 cents to put 50 litres of material in there. Out of the $9.90, because the bag costs $2, you know, it costs $1 to fill it and put it in.
Transport.
There's $4.50 for Bunnings. There's all these costs go in there,
Yeah.
and in the end, it works out that they're filling this bag for 80 cents.
That's
And,
terrible.
and so you can imagine 50 litres of something for 80 cents. It ain't going to be the best thing you've ever seen. And so it does pay to actually, like, and I've gone up a notch even in my commercial production. I'm using an equivalent potting mix to the Debco for my plants, and I'm finding, and I've moved up a little bit in what I'm spending, and it's paying off big time. The plants are growing much better in it. So I think with potting mixes, don't use a good one, and probably from my research so far, I would say that that Debco is the best on the market, available to everybody.
Okay, we have that on our website, don't we?
Yeah. We sell it here. We sell Debco here, and there's an enormous difference between the best and worst, because what it is, if you imagine it costs $8 or $9 to put a bag of potting mix into a nursery or a garden centre or a big department store, if that potting mix cost $5 or $6, at least they had a bit of budget to put something in the bag that was good. And where as it comes down and down and down and down, the margin that they have for putting it in comes down to where it can only be a few cents for some of the things, and they're just putting a mixture of industrial waste and chicken manure and stuff in it.
Yeah, which isn't great for your plants.
Yeah.
All right, Bee Budgie. So Debco, you can check it out. Head over to our website. I would drop a link in the comment, but we've got quite a few questions to still get through here. Actually, I'll just circle back to Bee Budgie. Same person here. They just asked, is the spelling of Zuni Zooni, but it's Zuni.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Zuni is the spelling for that one. And Vic SS asks, hi Chris, I'm wondering why my lime tufts are browning on top.
I reckon it sounds like a lack of moisture down deep, just what I've been talking about. Maybe a bit of soil wetter and a good deep slow soak.
All right, so a bit of soil wetter, and what was the other thing?
A bit of soil wetter and a deep slow soak.
All right, perfect. Get it back to life. All right, and then if we jump over to Instagram now, best method to transplant a cycad in Queensland, and then do we ship to Queensland?
Right.
From Estelle.
For one plant, we don't ship a lot of stuff to Queensland because it really only works out economically viable to do big batches. And so big batches are what's economically viable, and just individual plants, it just costs too much money. Now, I've noticed that people dig up and move cycads in northern New South Wales and Queensland during the winter time. And what they do is they cut the foliage right off and they dig it up with a good lot of roots and they transplant it. So to take the stress off it, you cut the foliage off it. And I'd say that late winter, like sort of August, early August or something like that, before they start growing again, but when they're going to be growing again soon, and you take the foliage off and then you move them.
All right.
Yeah, and do it with a good lump of soil and take the foliage right off them.
All right, Estelle.
And late winter.
Late winter, yeah. So wait until you're late winter and get it transplanted. All right. So another question here from Instagram, Linda asking, hi Chris, I live in Sydney's west. I'm after a fast-growing shade tree that would be suitable around horse stables. I would appreciate your advice as it gets very hot out here as well.
One of the best things you could plant, this is not a great thing to plant up against the house or anything because it has a very aggressive root system, but Ulmus duralensis, you can plant one that's 1/2 metre tall, keep it well watered and fertilised for a year, and you'll have it up 5 metres and giving a good shade in 1 year. And what's great about them is they ultimately don't grow too big, and you'll find that grass and other plants grow beautifully around the base because they fix atmospheric nitrogen in the same way that clover does.
All right, lovely. So hopefully that answers your question there, Linda. Perfect. And if you do miss any of this live today, you can always head over to our YouTube where it will permanently live.
Yeah.
If you miss the answer to your question as
So
well.
that's
what I mentioned that.
I might have gone too fast. That is evergreen alder or Ulmus duralensis, 5 metres from 1/2 metre in 1 year with plenty of water and fertiliser. I don't know of any, and it's a tree that actually improves the soil around it. But very
Wow.
aggressive root system. Don't plant it next to the septic tank. Don't plant it next to the house. And it's evergreen. It's a wow of a tree used in the right spot. And recently I made a video. Do you know if that's come out yet? The video on Ulmus I did with Danae?
Yes. Yeah, it should be out. Yep.
Yeah, so we've got a video about Ulmus, and I talk all about it. There's an interesting story about Ulmus. Were once called the Turak gum tree, and I told the whole story of the evergreen alder in a video we made recently, and I videoed an old evergreen alder. And one of the fascinating things about evergreen alders is that most people would think that a tree that grew 5 meters in the first year is going to end up 100 meters in 5 years or something like that. But what's interesting is that
They plateau their growth a bit.
yeah, they plateau. There's an evergreen alder near here that I suspect is about 30 years old, lovely tree, and it's about 9 meters tall. So it's a big tree, but it's not a massive
It's not
tree.
crazy, yeah.
And it's got probably a 7 or 8 meter spread and a lovely thick trunk on it, but it's slowed down a lot from that 5 meters in the first year.
Yeah, great. Yeah, well, I'm just seeing if actually that evergreen. I mean, we have done evergreen alder videos before.
We did one just recently, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
told the story of the evergreen
Yeah, no,
alder.
the new one hasn't come out. We've got the old one is up there, but not the new one. That's
Yeah.
okay. So that'll probably come out in the next week or so. So you can
Yeah. So
check
when
that
that
one
comes,
out if
yeah,
you
when
like,
that
Linda.
when that comes out, I tell the story and talk about the roots, and they're used extensively around coffee plantations in Central America.
Really?
Because
What do they do?
well, they're
for-
wind hardy.
Oh, okay,
They
yeah.
take heavy wet conditions, and they grow very, very quickly, but ultimately don't grow too big.
Awesome.
And they're a highly utilised tree in Central America, and kind of strangely enough, sort of a slightly used tree here in Victoria.
Beautiful. All right, check those out, Linda. We better keep moving on with the questions. We're going to go like another, I guess, 8 minutes here, and we'll try and get to your question. If we don't get to it today, we do apologise, but we do it every Monday at 12 p.m. You can ask any gardening questions. We'll get back to you with the answers. All right, next one comes to us from Katie G on TikTok. What's a good, narrow, colourful plant for a clay soil that doesn't drain well? Full sun, zone 9. I don't know the zones, but actually she did put here subtropical Texas. Long spans of dry heat and then days of just rain.
Man, that's
You
tough.
might have stumped
Yeah,
him.
it's
I think you stumped Chris.
Texas.
Well done, Katie
Give me
G. You
that
did it.
question again and see if I can come up
All
with
right,
something.
so she wants a good, narrow, colourful plant for clay soil. It's subtropical temperatures, so you're getting full sun,
And
but then
cold
you're getting days of just complete rain as well.
yeah. Yeah, so
Interesting.
down on the Texas coast.
We don't really have. I mean, that sounds like Queensland weather, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a toughie.
Dry heat and then rain. Colourful. How tall do we need to know? Oh, it's just a good narrow. It doesn't really.
I
have the height.
reckon if you got a crepe myrtle and kept it for like the Tuscarora crepe myrtle is a fairly tall, narrow kind of a crepe myrtle.
Yeah.
Loves that tropical heat, handles the dry, takes poor drainage. I would look at a Tuscarora crepe myrtle and then trim it and keep it nice and narrow, and that will take that sort of it won't rot in that tropical.
Really, even in the clay, it would be
yeah,
alright.
clay. Yeah,
Wow.
I think take in that situation, and they grow right up into like where you are is rather similar to our Gold Coast here, and crepe myrtle's fine for the Gold Coast.
Wow.
Really good for the Gold Coast. Yeah.
All right, Katie. Check out the
What is some
Tuscarora,
crepe
yeah.
myrtles go very wide. Tuscarora is tall and skinny.
Yeah, and we just did a video. Actually, just went out. We had a bunch of crepe myrtle videos go out last week, but there's a Tuscarora video which
Yeah.
was released last week, which you can check out, Katie, on our socials.
Yeah, and also the Tuscarora is mildew resistant because in that where you get that endless rain in summer, mildew can be a problem with some crepe myrtles, but Tuscarora is one of the mildew resistant ones.
Right. And I wonder, do they get cold winters in that
Yeah.
area of Texas as well? So that, the crepe myrtle would be perfect for that,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? Yeah. All right, cool. Let's keep moving along. And thanks very much for all the questions, guys. Again, probably only get to answer a couple more as we scroll through here. Still on TikTok at the moment. Hey Chris, I live in Brizzy. This is from Colleen. Hey Chris, I live in Brizzy. Can a catalpa mop top grow well there?
Now, I think Brizzy, it's kind of funny that for those of you not from Australia, Brizzy is how Australians talk, and that's how they say Brisbane.
Yeah,
They
that's
live
where
in-
the Olympics will be actually.
the
It is.
Olympics are going to be in Brizzy.
Brizzy,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, I reckon you'd be in terrible trouble with a catalpa mop top there. I think it is sort of that wet season is going to knock it off. I'm just trying to think what would
Good
be
alternative, yeah.
what would be an alternative to that. It's a toughie. Ball on a stick, nice foliage. I think you're going to have to prune something up. You're going to have to pick a nice tropical sort of ficus. There's some ficus, there's some ficuses that have quite big leaves. And if you got one of those and got one with a straight stem, cleared all the bottom branches off and trimmed it up into a ball, even something like you could even do, I'm fiddling around at the moment with some Moreton Bay figs. I reckon you could toperize a Moreton Bay fig and have a tropical, your catalpa mop top is giant leaves, lovely ball on a stick. I reckon you could get a Moreton Bay fig or a similar type of fig, get one with a nice straight stem, a big one in the nursery, trim all the bottom branches, trim the head up into a ball, keep it trimmed into a ball. And although Moreton Bay figs want to grow giant, fig trees can be trimmed and kept small. And so if you trimmed up a Moreton Bay fig, you could create that effect.
Does it grow fruit on it, that one, or Moreton Bay fig?
Moreton Bay fig is you don't really, it's fruit, but it's really just seed. It's not fruit. But Moreton Bay fig, I reckon you could make the effect of a catalpa mop top up there in Brizzy with the wet season.
All right, Colleen. Hopefully that helps you out. Let's just jump back over. We're just going to answer a couple more questions here and we'll wrap it up. My Thai asks on Instagram, hi Chris, we have in-ground olive tree. Due to growth of city council tree, my poor olive is now partially in shade. It only gets about 4 hours direct sun. Can grow light help with lack of sun? I think they're asking, can it grow with lack of sun? How will it grow?
Your olive will hang in there. What's interesting, say it's a really beautiful olive and you want it to do well, you might consider shifting it. And what's interesting about olives, you need to shift them with a good sized root ball, and you'd prune the head back to take the stress off when you prune it. But olives are highly shiftable. They're like some trees, like your gum trees, and a lot of trees, you try and shift them and they just keel over. But olives and there's lots of information on the internet about shifting olives. So you could, basically, I think in the shade, a nicely established olive tree is going to hang in and maybe look a bit sad. Shift it, put it out in the hot sun, prune it up, and it could look fabulous.
Yeah, and then she's worried, will it not fruit now because of lack of sun?
It'll fruit a lot less. So
less.
basically, the answer is to leave it there and kind of put up with less fruit and a less healthy, happy tree, or shift it and get more fruit and more healthy happiness in the tree.
Okay, all right, there you go, my Thai. And Just Chicken the Kitchen is the name here. I have a treehouse terrace that's full of sun. What can I put in the soil so I don't have to water it as often? Container gardening.
Okay.
Treehouse terrace. What is I don't even know what a treehouse terrace is.
Okay, so
You're good with that? You know what it is?
yeah, I'll just answer that question. There's two things you could do. One more natural than the other. It's a funny thing. If you go out there and you get a pot and you stand there for a couple of minutes just pouring water, watering it and just pouring the water into it, and you pick it up, it'll be still fairly light. But if you go out and get that pot and you just put water on it for just 20 or 30 seconds, and then you go off for half an hour and come back and give it a really good soak, you notice that the pot on the second soak gets way heavier than it does on the first soak. So the first thing that you could do to increase the water, the length of time that the water lasts for, is to double water. So you come home from work, quick water, and this sounds silly, but it really works. Come home from work, give it a quick water, quick drink. And then what you find is that bit of water sort of seeping in from the top, your dry ground is rejecting the water, but that little bit of water seeping in from the top breaks the surface tension of the next lot of water coming in. And then you go in the second time and you give it the big soak, maybe half an hour later, and you'll find that the water really goes in. And if you were to pick up pots that get that second water, you'll notice they get really, really heavy. And so with that second water, your watering is going to last a lot longer. Now, the other way to get that double water effect is to use a soil wetter. Now, I kind of don't, soil wetters, I kind of like my double watering method for pots, because your soil wetter is still, it's not a terrible pollutant, but it's still a little bit of a pollutant. I like soil wetter when I'm establishing a delicate, newly planted plant, or I'm in a really dry area and I'm planting some natives or something like that, and I want them to grow and they're not going to get much water. Your soil wetter is great at maximizing the effect of the water and getting the water in and around the plant. But as a long-term solution, I prefer my double watering. But the other way, if you didn't really have time for double water, you treat all your pots with soil wetter. And we sell soil wetter. We have a nice mix, a nice strong mix of soil wetter here. And soil wetter lasts for a year, so you do it once a year if you're doing it on an ongoing basis. But that double watering is a great way of getting water in. And that's come home from work, quick squirt, go have dinner, go have a drink, something like that, come back and give it a big soak.
All right, there you go. Just a chick in the kitchen. I think I've read it wrong before, but that's the answer to your question there. Soil wetter will be the handling. And we'll just take one last question. Sorry if we didn't get to your, all the questions. We've got quite a few here today, but thank you so much. You can join us next week on the live at 12 p.m. every Monday. Just circling back to Katie G, she said she found the video on the Tuscarora, and just saying thank you very much. Looks beautiful.
Right,
as
great.
an option
That's
there.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had, I'm just going to have to choose one last question here. All right, so on TikTok here, we got a question. I can't read the name because it's in another language, but that's okay. We'll do our best to answer it. So it says, "Hi mate, I'm trying to take branch of a cousin it. Is that possible, or does it have to be a seed?"
No, if you manage, I've never seen a seed on one, but if you manage to get a seed, it wouldn't. What it is, your cousin it is it's a chance seedling that comes from a tree. And it's really a tree that grows flat on the ground, and all propagation of cousin it is from cutting. And there's quite a bit of information on the web about how to grow them from cuttings, and people talk about soaking them in water and planting them and that. I haven't actually grown them from cuttings myself, but there's plenty of information here about growing them from cuttings, and cuttings is the correct way to do it. So get on the web. I saw so many different methods. Often when you see lots of different methods on the web, it means that almost any way will work. But have a look on the web, and you will be able to strike them from cuttings. In fact, you have to strike them from cuttings.
Perfect. So cuttings it is. All right. Thank you so much to everybody today for all the questions. And sorry if we didn't get to your questions again. Check us out every Monday at 12 p.m. with this live. And we're going to try and make, we're going to do more lives in the future, aren't we?
Yeah.
Chris?
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week. Any last words, Chris, before we sign off?
Thank you. See you later.
All right. See you everyone.
In the morning sun where the flowers bloom, colors burst like a painter's dream come true. Roses red and violets blue, every petal whispers something new. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, hello plant, welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello plant, in every shade and hue, for every heart and every hand, we've got something for you. Indoor greens and outdoor scenes, design your space, let your garden dreams glide. Personal touch with our garden design, free sessions to blend within your budget line. Alright. From tiny seeds to trees so grand, every leaf and bird, it's all at hand. Hello, Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, plant. Welcome to the show, where every flower tells a story. Watch them grow. Hello, hello, plant. And every shade and hue, for every heart and every